everyone. Welcome and thank you so much for tuning in to the Love and Truth podcast. My name is Esther. Please don't mind me always looking this side at my notes, which I wrote most of them in December 2021. So that's how deep that goes. But the matter at hand is still very relevant. So, you do you, boo. That's the topic for today. Or as I like to say, live your truth, because that's the thing we're discussing today, really. Live your truth. It's a very common statement these days. It's, I think, a brand now. It's on t-shirts, it's on posters, it's the headline of conferences. There are websites which have live your truth as the domain name. I mean, it's everywhere. So live your truth. You do you, boo, is what we're discussing. The message is out there. You live your truth, I live my truth. You're happy, I'm happy, we're all happy. I mean, the world could never have been better. Now, this being the Love and Truth podcast, I think it's important that as we assess or discuss anything here, we have at the back of our minds two questions, which is one, is it loving? And two, is it true? And yeah, I know it kind of sounds silly to ask those questions on a statement that sounds right off the bat loving and true, like live your truth. But personally, I think it is quite a vague statement. It's an unclear statement, and at worst, it's dangerous. And I know what most people mean when they say live your truth and why they do say that, but words are not just words. Words represent ideas, and ideas have consequences in the lives of people who believe those ideas and who live by those ideas. So please hear me out on why I think people have this mantra of live your truth, and my rebuttal or my arguments against those reasons. And yeah, my arguments come in peace. I come in love and peace and truth. Okay, so reasons why I think people are quoting this statement of live your truth so much these days. Number one is for encouragement. People are seeking to encourage each other, to encourage themselves. It's a freeing statement, it's a liberating statement. It gives people a deeper sense of their autonomy, of their responsibility, of their authority over their own choices, over their own life. Because life can sometimes be overwhelming, and there are different expectations and different limitations that can sometimes feel like they're restricting, they're oppressive, and yet inside us we have these deep feelings and desires and aspirations that are way off from these expectations of society and whoever else, like the expectation to get into uni after high school, and right after uni you're getting married, and right after marriage you're being expected to have babies and all these other things. I mean, fill in the blank. Or on the flip side, there are these limitations of you'll never truly be happy if you have kids who are tying you down, or you'll only be truly happy when fill in the blank, those kinds of things. So live your truth, I think, is a statement that's basically, for the most part, said to encourage people, to let them know it's okay, be the way you are, be yourself, live out your own standard, live the way you want, you know? And the fact is that noble as some of these expectations like marriage and kids and graduation can be, they don't always go as planned for everyone, and that's life, right? I saw this quote somewhere which said that life is what happens when you're busy making other plans, and yeah, that's life. But I don't think it should call for us to take up in arms this very vague statement of live your truth to try and solve life's problems. And the reason why is because of point number two, why I think people say this statement a lot. People are campaigning behind the slogan of live your truth because there's another group of people who take this idea literally and not metaphorically, in the good sense of be yourself. They are doing it in the name of doing away with these expectations still, but in the name of independence. They want to do whatever, regardless. They want to do anything they want, and specifically morally, in the moral sense, especially when it comes to sexual morality. They are seeking justification for doing things that they were told not to do earlier. So people are done and out with these rules and these regulations of what we cannot do with our own bodies. They're ours after all. I don't need to wait to say some words in a church so that I can follow nature's call. Yeah, that kind of thing. So there's this argument that I've heard from the feminist movement that women can do anything a man can do, and so they should also be free and liberated to sleep around in order to match the bad standard that men have set. I mean, men are known for sleeping around with whoever just because. So I call those people bad men, by the way, but I won't digress. So it's out with these old-time ideas of women have to be pristine and pure and all that, and in with the new. Live your truth. You do you, boo. The outcome of this lifestyle has surely been more negative than the positive liberation that it seeks. It has been broken hearts, broken families, broken relationships, STDs, and such and such. Now, reason number 3 of why I think people are saying this live your truth statement a lot, The third reason I think is because, and it's kind of similar to reason number 1. I think all the reasons are the same really, but let's just go with it. Anyway, point number 3 is some people are just trying all they can to do away with any sort of influence. They just want to be original, and I'm all for originality. I'm all for that. We should all be original, guys. But some people just want to be extra original, like extra virgin olive oil, if you've seen those photos. As if they were the first people to exist. They're rebelling against almost every idea that inconveniences them. For example, gender roles. And no, we're not going to talk about gender roles today, but that's one of the examples. And still another example, still within that gender category, is the new gender transition movement and all these new gender terms that keep being added to the LGBTQ plus list. I saw on Facebook the sign up page, there's the gender selection box, it drops down to 72 genders. That was by 2021 anyway, as per the time of writing these notes. But it's that deep. People are like looking for 72 genders. What was originally 2 has now transitioned to 72, and people are just really seeking this unusual kind of uninfluenced originality. Okay, point number 4, why I think people overuse this statement, this slogan, why people are behind this mantra of live your truth, is because people are trying to keep the peace. And I'm speaking in terms of religion, because there's so many religions out there. Pitting one religion against another can seem a bit harsh and rude, especially when people are intending to be harsh and rude, of course. And sometimes it can pose as life-threatening when you say one religion is true and the other isn't. And so people find it easier to take the comfortable route of saying, you live your truth religiously, telling my friends, you live your truth. All religions are the same. We are all worshipping the same God and things like that. Because that seems loving, it seems kind, it seems unprideful. I mean, no one wants to be called a bigot. Yeah, so those are the 4 reasons. And I hope you see why I think that statement of live your truth is vague, because it can mean anything. It can mean literally anything. It's an unclear statement. It starts out with the intent of encouragement, but then it escalates and the lines are blurred. And as you get into different life situations, it starts to get dangerous. And the outcome of living by those words of live your truth ends up not being good. And if you don't agree with me, let me just give you a few more examples. Example 1, a man who leaves his wife and his kids to go and reinvent himself, to go and live his truth with someone else, with another woman or another man, all in the name of living his truth, all in the name of seeking his happiness, all in the name of reinventing himself. And we actually saw this years ago with Bruce Jenner. I know those guys are celebrities, but if it happened in an ordinary home, it would be utterly devastating to those people. And I think it also shows how this idea of live your truth is a very selfish idea. Example number 2 is, if we look back into history, there's this guy called Hitler, who found pleasure in killing people who didn't look like him, because it was his truth that the Aryans who looked like him were more superior than the people who looked like black people and Jews and that kind of thing. Example number 3, imagine the outcome of me living my truth and keeping right while driving in Uganda, where Uganda is a keep left nation. If I wasn't knocked, or if I didn't knock anyone else, I'd be fined and I would be in prison, because that's the outcome of living my truth there. Okay, so the conclusion, this phrase of live your truth is actually a lie. And my dad one time told me that lies are a wrong foundation for life, because if we all lived our own truths, the world would be total chaos right now. I would be offended by your truth and you'd be offended by my truth, and who knows, I could decide to take measures and show you that I'm not one to offend, that kind of thing. And where would we find peace? Where would we find harmony in this world? We'll just be out of touch with reality. And yeah, there is some chaos in the world right now. There is chaos, not even some. There's a lot of chaos in the world right now because people are doing just that. They're living their truth. Let's talk about rapists. Let's talk about murderers. Let's talk about greedy politicians and so many others. All those people are doing those things because it's their truth. It's convenient for them. Anyway, the point is, there's no such thing as my truth. There's no such thing as your truth. There's no such thing as our individual truths. There is only the truth. And we can't make up the truth. We can't make up truth at all. The truth has always been, and as far as we know, there's gravity day and night. There is murder is evil. That's the truth, and it has always been. And when we go by this mantra of live your truth, we're actually living a lie. When we try to run from influence and seek this super originality and try to keep peace with someone, we're not living the truth. We're not going with the truth. For those of us who want to be extra original, the fact of the matter is, we are never without influence in this world. Most of us were born into a family, and I believe that a family is a primary source of influence. You learned how to walk, you learned how to talk, you learned how to do the things you did and the things you do probably in your family and school and where else, but you learned from somewhere. You can't just make up something. Yeah, we can claim all we want that we are living our truth, but really we have just chosen another influence. And we are just kind of imitating someone else. And it's not wrong to imitate people. It's right if we're imitating the right things. Also, as a Christian, I'm 100% for keeping peace with people, even if you disagree with those people, because the Bible tells us, seek peace and pursue it. It tells us to live peaceably with all men, with everyone. And yeah, the problem is when we try to keep the peace with others with this all religions are the same, we are all worshipping the same God, live your truth, I live mine, that kind of thing. Those vague statements do not cut it. They do not create peace, because are all religions really the same? I mean, do they all make different claims and do they have different expectations of their believers and still remain the same? I don't think so. And I think it would be untrue that we say we're all worshipping the same God and that all religions are the same. And I think it follows that it would be unloving to not point out the truth where necessary. Yeah, so I'm not saying that we should go out and start wars with people who believe differently from us and say, I'm telling you the truth, I'm loving you. No, I'm not saying that. That's not how you win people to your side. I'm just saying this so that you can go and think about it, and that you're not found among those who make ignorant statements like, oh, religions are the same. Because have you studied all the religions to know that they are the same for sure? Have you studied them all? Anyway, let me conclude. For those who know Bible stories, isn't it interesting how the creation story started with telling us about how chaos ensued in the world when a man and a woman chose to live their truth and determine truth for themselves and abandon the truth that had already been defined by God. And then another thing, for those who know the Bible, or for those who don't, I find it fascinating that God calls himself love and truth. In 1 John chapter 4, verse 8, it says that he who does not love does not know God, because God is love. And then in John chapter 14, verse 6, Jesus tells one of his disciples, he's saying, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. So God personifies these words of love and truth. He's basically saying, I'm the standard. He's the one who draws the line and determines what is love and what is unloving, what is true, what is untrue. And so he's also behind this idea of there's no such thing as your truth. Yeah. So instead of living our truth or encouraging people to live their truth, I think and I believe we would have better consequences in life if we follow God, if we point people to him, who is the standard, who calls himself love and truth. We should point people to Jesus, who says he's the truth, and he showed his love for people by dying for them even when they were still following their truth. which was really lies. Yeah, so we may mean well when we are saying this phrase of live your truth, and we may mean well telling people to live their truth, but it doesn't always end well, as we have seen. And I know the average person is not using this statement to be like Hitler or to get a free pass to do damage in the world, but I think then that's a case of vocabulary. We could change our vocabulary. There's actually a quote that says there's no such thing as your truth, there is that truth and your opinion. So I think that solves this vocabulary dilemma. Everyone, I think, most people are just trying to live out their own opinion, and we should also remember that some opinions are better than others. But yeah, truth is always truth. That's it for today, guys. I hope this has edified you in some way, and thanks to our sponsors. We don't have any yet, but yeah, thank you for listening. Have a nice day. I will see you in the next episode, but for now, how about instead of living our truth, we better start loving the truth. Bye.